Welcome to the Vegas Insider channel here on YouTube. Kevin Rogers with you as we take you through today's show. Tuesday, May 3rd, 2022. Brian Edwards joins us coming up in just a moment. Talk NBA playoffs with him. And we'll also, coming up, hit on the Stanley Cup. Playoffs underway. Night number 1. You had 2 home teams win in the East, 2 road teams win in the West. So we'll talk about that, as well as look ahead to tonight's action. 4 more games in the NHL, full baseball card also. So let's get right to the proceedings, as they say. Brian Edwards, he is here, he is ready, and the NBA playoffs now in the second round. Brian, so all the chalk rose out of the first round, and now so far in the second round, some mixed results so far. But what have you thought so far through the first few games of the second round?
Well, I thought if Jalen Brunson would have given the Mavs anything last night, might have had a little different game. Luka was spectacular. I liked how Philly had a 1-point lead at half, so I was able to get Miami. I thought it was a good halftime opportunity or second half opportunity, and I jumped on that. I wish Devin Booker would have taken that inbounds after Luka made the backdoor cover 3. If Devin Booker would have just made one pass, I don't know if they would have fouled, and I would have gotten a very fortunate cover on the Mavs. But it would have been a wrong side winner for me. Phoenix backers obviously were on the right side and deserved to get that, and Booker gives them their 2 free throws. And who was it missed at the buzzer? Was it Dinwiddie that missed in the corner at the buzzer for what would have been a nice miracle backdoor cover? But it sucks that Embiid's hurt for Philly. It sucks. And I tell you what, man, I other than Philly, because of Embiid's absence, all these teams are playing pretty good ball, and all of them have a pretty good shot.
Let's start with that Heat 76ers game from last night, Brian. And like you mentioned, Philly was not looking good for a while, and they ended up coming back, taking the lead. Then the Heat kind of pulled away from that one. Do you give Philadelphia any shot tonight, much less in the series? I mean, obviously Embiid comes back. Whenever he does, then Philly's got an opportunity. But without Embiid, any chance moving forward into Game 2 on Wednesday?
I mean, not to win outright unless Harden just finds that fountain of youth and Maxey just has a monster game. But Harden is just, Embiid's out, dude. 5 as many turnovers as assists, and Philly makes 6 of 34 from 3. They got a chance to cover, obviously, catching big numbers. But, with Embiid out, you got to get Danny Green's got to make some threes. I mean, Tobias, gave him 11 of 18 from the field, 27 points. So he was good. And Maxey wasn't bad, but Maxey's got to be great because I don't think Harden's going to be great. And, obviously you cannot go 6 of 34 from 3 without Embiid and think that you're going to have a shot. So I don't give them much of a shot to win outright. They could cover. But, yeah, I think Miami goes up 2-0. And I would think Embiid would give it a go on Friday in Game 3. I would think. We'll see.
On the flip side, the other game, I know you mentioned it, but Phoenix ends up outlasting Dallas, a game that Phoenix was in control of. And the Suns, Brian, it seemed like in that last series, Devin Booker out, the door was open a little bit for the Pelicans to maybe pull the upset, but Phoenix just a better team. And now I think it's 19 wins they have in the postseason since last year. 18 of them they've covered. So when they win, they cover in these games. They lost, obviously, both to New Orleans in the last round, but every other win they covered. What about Dallas now? Do you think that Luka can have enough to carry them to maybe get a split in Phoenix?
Yeah. If he gets some help from Brunson, obviously getting that third foul with 8, I think it was like 8:43 left in the second, and he's got to go to the bench. from there. But Luka's got to get some help. But I think Dallas could get a split here. I had them last night. I haven't decided what I'm going to do tomorrow night. But yeah, they definitely can. And if I had to pick it right now, I probably would go right back to Dallas +6 in hopes of Brunson giving them more offense and just, Luka getting more help in general.
And then that total moving up to 216 now for Wednesday after the 214.5. So a little bit of an adjustment after they dropped 235 in that one. That game was on a total over pace the entire time. Let's go to tonight now, Brian. All right. So the Bucks, they look pretty good in game one. Let's just say they look like the champs. They look like the team that is going to be the ones to beat, at least in the Eastern Conference. And they end up beating Boston handily in game one. They ran away from them there. The Celtics, look, they sweep Brooklyn in the first round. Brooklyn's a complete mess. And Boston had 2 games at home they probably should have lost. I mean, really, in 3 home games, Boston has not been 100% sharp. So what makes you think now that they can get over the hump and play a good game from beginning to end at TD Garden?
Well, you got to think that that Jaylen Brown's going to give them a little more, but is Marcus Smart healthy? Didn't seem like it the other day. I feel like I know I should have had Milwaukee in game one, and but it's kind of hard to turn them down, catching 4.5 or 5 in game two. I hate to go against the zigzag theory, but Milwaukee, they played great defense, but they didn't have that great. I mean, they only shot 41% from the field. I mean, Giannis was 9 of 25. In other words, they won handily, but offensively they weren't that great. So I'm leaning toward Milwaukee in this one. I don't want anything to do with the total. I mean, Milwaukee's had 6 straight unders, but I don't know how much longer that's going to last. And you got to think Boston is going to shoot a little better. I mean, a lot. I mean, they were 33% from the field. They were okay from 3-point land, but I mean, 28 of 84, and give Milwaukee credit for a lot of that. But yeah, I'm leaning Milwaukee tonight.
Yeah, and I mean, Chris Middleton again, he's out. I mean, Marcus Smart has got his shoulder ripped out on that play to the basket, so I'm sure that's definitely going to leave a mark. But you have that game first. The second game in Memphis between Golden State and Memphis. So what do you think about how the game ended the other day? How they handled that? And I understand, after the fact, it's a rule, all this other stuff about. They've changed the rule and the replay and all of that. But when is the common sense going to be made? Because this is going to happen again sometime in the playoffs where no teams have challenges. And you can't just say, well, we don't know. It's a jump ball.
Yeah, I didn't really. So I was at the bar and I couldn't hear the volume. And I was just going, what the hell's going on here? Why did they say it was a jump ball?
Okay, so here's what happened. So ball got knocked out of bounds clearly by Dylan Brooks. Right. None of the referees knew who was off of. So they do the whole
you don't know
each other thing. You got it. Do you see it? I don't know. And then they do the jump ball. The problem is the rule they changed, for those of you tuning in now, and I didn't realize it until after the fact, they had a rule change, Brian, in September, right before the season began, to speed the games up. If neither team has a challenge in the final 2 minutes.
You can't just go to the monitor?
Nope. No monitor, even though there was no call made. So it wasn't like saying it was Memphis ball and they didn't know. They're like, I don't know, so let's just have a jump ball. You have the replay. You cannot use it because the rule says you're out of challenges. So we don't go to the replay and we just have a jump ball.
Adam Silver should change that rule today, use his power of the commissioner. If there's a situation like that, the refs aren't sure, and there's less than 10 seconds left in regulation, let's go review it. That he should make that ruling today.
And Brian, that replay would have taken about 10 seconds because it was clearly
right. It was so easy.
There are times you see it off one guy's finger, another finger, and you're like, I have no idea. Or it goes off.
It takes a while.
This one was clear as day. Yet, look, I don't blame the official that's in the trail that's by half court. He can't see it. Right. But the guy's underneath the basket, you're underneath the freaking basket. How do you not see that? But honestly, if Golden State was laying 5, just throwing this out there, it wouldn't have been as big of a deal. But that would have meant Golden State ball. I know Clay missed the 2 free throws. Like, I got to put blame on Clay on this one, too. It's not just, the officials aren't going to get all the crap. But Clay's got to make those free throws. He's an elite shooter. Golden State should have the ball laying 2.5 up 1, get fouled and make the 2 free throws. So that's where a little more of the resentment came from.
Sure. Clearly, you were on the Warriors.
Why do you say that? You're right. I was on the Warriors. You're 100% right. I'm watching that, and I'm thinking, you know what it was too, Brian? Clay looked so uncomfortable at the line.
And he had just made that.
He could score 50 in a game, hit 15 threes at the free throw line. He looked uncomfortable.
And he just made that huge 3 as well.
Yeah. Something weird about it. Like, Steph is at the line. Steph's like a 90% free throw shooter. Just, you could see it when they shoot. But Clay, he seems very robotic at the line. A guy that could go off a screen and hit this 3, no big deal. Free throw line, it's like.
I couldn't believe he missed both. That was shocking. So looking to tonight, I got to go with Memphis. 8-3 against the spread with 7 outright wins as home dogs. Now I did see Desmond Bane is listed as questionable, but I don't. Did you see did you see him get banged up the other day?
He's on the report back injury.
I think he's playing. He's playing, but I did see that and I was like, whoa, because he was terrific against Minnesota, 23.5 or 23.5 points per game in the series, 48.2% from 3. That was an eye opener to see him on the report, but I'll be shocked if he doesn't play. So I got to go. I got to go Memphis tonight.
What do you think about the total? It went from 224 to 227.5 because they hit 233 on Sunday.
Right. I think I got to pass on it. Gun to the head. I'd probably go over with what we saw the other day. Now, one thing that does concern me with Memphis is you lose when Draymond only played 17 minutes. I mean, he's going to play 40 tonight, but I just think at home Memphis is going to dig deep and find a way to get the outright dub.
Now, what do you think about the NFL draft? I saw Georgia, your beloved Georgia Bulldogs. You love them. They had every guy drafted under the sun.
I love it. That means they will not be playing in red and black in Jacksonville next year. I was disappointed with my Falcons. I wanted to trade down or take the best edge rusher or wide receiver available. I think they took the 3rd best wide receiver available in Drake London. I prefer Jameson Williams and Treylon Burks. And I can't say I like the Titans trading AJ, but I think you get somebody that's as close to AJ in this draft with Burks' size. I love Treylon Burks out of Arkansas. I think he's the 2nd best receiver in the draft. And I really thought the Titans had a good draft outside of trading AJ. Now I'm not familiar with all their salary cap stuff. If they got money needed to go elsewhere and thought they might lose AJ in free agency eventually. So we'll see how that works out. But I like what the Jets did. I liked what the Titans did outside of AJ. I'm not excited about the Falcons going Desmond Ridder. I would have rather gone Matt Corral. What else?
What about, I want your thought on this. I haven't talked to you in a while. What did you think about how they handled the Matt Ryan situation and getting Marcus Mariota now?
Oh, just hated it. I mean, first off, were we going to give a package similar than what Cleveland did to get Deshaun Watson, who might get suspended, and Arthur Blank? Look, I've loved Arthur Blank since he got to the Falcons for, gosh, however long ago that was, at least 15 years ago. It was the best thing that ever happened to the Falcons. Now he's part of the problem. I mean, wanting Watson, and then you get rid of Matt Ryan, who's got several more good years left in him, and you have to sacrifice this year as a tank season because of the quarterback situation. And, you know, you had to take the, whatever it was, the $25 million cap hit, regardless of whether we traded or kept Matt Ryan. And, well, now that before Brady decided to come back, you know, the division was going to suck. It was going to be up in the air, and you didn't need to have a tank year. Maybe you win the division if Brady doesn't come back, and which is irrelevant because he did come back. But now Falcons fans that have been bitching about Matt Ryan for no reason, as if he was part of the problem, which is utter insanity. Now they're going to find out for the first time in 14 years what it's like to not have a reliable quarterback who's there every Sunday. I think Matt Ryan's missed 4 games in his career, if I'm not mistaken. They're going to realize how bad it sucks to not have a elite quarterback. So my Falcons are going to suck, and it's going to stink for me. And I hated the way it was handled with Matt Ryan. Now, I do like that he went to a contender, and he can, you know, have a shot at, you know, maybe going to a Super Bowl. I like that for him. I would have, you know, if we would have sent him to Jacksonville, I wouldn't have liked that.
What about Mariota? You think he's got anything left, or or he just didn't get a chance in Tennessee? He's still young, but what do you think about him as the starting quarterback?
You know, he doesn't have many weapons around him. So I hope he can still scramble well. We hadn't seen a whole lot of him here lately, so, you know, I'm willing to give him a chance. But Arthur Smith is a horrible coach. His play calling is abysmal.
You're over him?
Oh, I was over him on the first drive against Philadelphia last year when we had 6 red zone plays, did not score, and Kyle Pitts was not in the game for any of those 6 red zone plays. Kyle Pitts set all these rookie records for tight ends last year and was the most underused player in the NFL. He had so many games with only like 4 to 6 targets, which, and actually some of that was on Matt Ryan, actually. But scheme up a play for your best player, dumbass.
And also you lose Calvin Ridley too. So that doesn't help.
Well, that's
either.
just on Calvin Ridley.
Right.
Don't get me started on that bomb.
So what did he do? So he went into
he quit on the team.
Florida?
He quit on the team, blamed mental health. And while he's having all these mental health woes, he's gambling. And the day the suspension came down, that it was like it broke at like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. That morning, he was trending on Twitter all morning because there was speculation that the Patriots and Browns were going to give us like multiple second-round picks for Ridley. Now he has no trade capital if and when he's reinstated a year and a half from now or whenever. And we paid him every penny of his salary last year when he literally quit on the team. And look, can't we all agree that if the guy is gambling on football games, that you know, he wasn't exactly concentrating on this mental health thing that I'm not trying to downgrade the mental health thing, but you know, some guys can use it as an excuse, and he's out doing bad things like gambling on NFL to get himself suspended and cost him and his family more than $10 million easily, if not way more than that. So, anyhow.
Well, Brian, I was going to say that, the two of us both live in the fantastic state of Florida. And in that 5-week span when the Hard Rock had the gambling app, I feel like Calvin Ridley was the one that shut it down. It wasn't the Seminoles or anything. It was Calvin Ridley that just said, forget it. This is it. Putting the kibosh on gambling in the state.
And hey, I didn't even make any bets on that because we knew that hearing was coming up and we knew that it was probably going to get shut down after a month. So I didn't even make any bets on it.
Yeah, it was like 5 weeks, done.
Calvin Ridley does not even live in Florida. I live in Florida.
Yeah.
I gamble basically daily for decades, and he made more bets on that than I did.
I just wondered, where did he drive into? What town? I'm going to give you one shot. Which town do you think he drove into to get over the state line? Crawfordville?
Crawfordville doesn't border Georgia. My county, Gadsden.
No, I know, but he's got to go from Atlanta. That's a far drive to get. Thomasville is right above the county or is above the state line.
Sure. So
you
he
go from
probably
Tallahassee to Thomasville. I know that.
Right.
I just wondered exactly, where did he land? Yes. What gas station did he land on? Did he go to Lake City? Where did he go?
I'm thinking down 75. Isn't he from South Florida? So he probably got into that county, that Lake City, or maybe it's Suwannee County. Is it Live Oak area?
One of those. He's from Fort Lauderdale, Calvin Ridley.
Right. He's going down 75. He stopped at a gas station in Suwannee County near the good old Suwannee River.
I'm telling you, man, you get on that I-10, not a lot to look at. There really isn't when you get through there in Florida. You get through the Panhandle. All right, I want to get to this now, Brian, because we have UFC 274 in Phoenix coming up on Saturday. Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira, and what do you think about the light heavyweight championship?
Great card. First off, let me give you some stats. The 10 fighters on the main card have combined for 195 octagon appearances, 122 UFC wins, 90 UFC finishes, and 90 UFC bonuses. All of those are promotion records. Never has a pay-per-view card had that many appearances, wins, finishes, and bonuses. And the pay-per-view opener gets a lot of credit for that. Of course, that being Donald Cowboy Cerrone and Joe Lozon. And I've been a huge Cerrone backer through the years. He's made me lots of money, but unfortunately, I think my man has lost his chin. Although he's the better stand-up guy to Lozon, I just don't know that Cowboy needs to be favored, especially healthily favored. At this point in his career, he's minus 175 at a lot of books. So I'll have a small play on Joe Lozon at plus 160. As far as I love Gaethje. He's my favorite fighter, him and Nate Diaz. And by the way, they're bickering on social media this week. So if Gaethje doesn't win the belt, I think we've got a potential Gaethje-Nate beef and fight set up. So why is Gaethje and Oliveira not on my odds list here for 74? I think here it is. It's down at the bottom. So if Oliveira gets him to the ground, Gaethje's probably bumming. And I'm becoming a big believer in Oliveira, especially beating Dustin when Dustin was just hammering him with punches in round one. So he and Chandler caught him really good in round one too. So Oliveira has shown his chin in the first round of the two title fights he's had. And then in the second round, showed his improved stand-up, knocking out Chandler, was able to get Dustin, get his back and get the submission. So I think Oliveira by submission, and I'm looking for the prop odds on that now. That's only plus 135, but it does shave off that, minus 160 to minus 170 price. Now, let's see the under. Under 1.5 rounds at plus 140, or actually even there's some books that have even better odds than that. I think Gaethje knocks him out or Oliveira gets the submission, and I think it happens before the midway point of round 2. Gaethje doesn't, there's 5-round feel-out processes for some fighters. Gaethje does not subscribe to that. Gaethje is looking to take your head off from start to finish, and Oliveira's looking to get you by the neck or the arm and break your arm or choke you out. So I think under at plus money is under 1.5 is the best bet on that. Looking at the rest of the card, we've got some good ones. I think Rose went. I think Rose in a parlay, I wouldn't lay the minus 200 or even more expensive. But Rose in a parlay, I like. Maybe even put Michael Chandler in there. And maybe Oliveira. That could be a good. That'll get you plus money. Probably not. I don't know that it'll get you plus 200. Sorry for not having the parlay calculator ready. But Rose, Chandler, and Oliveira is probably a good parlay. Under 1.5 for plus money on Gaethje and Oliveira, and Joe Lozon in the plus 150 neighborhood. Those look like good plays to me.
All right, get your glasses fixed.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, that's why. So you see his glass a little awkward. What happened? You stepped on him?
Stepped on him, and the optometrist has been booked for a couple of weeks. So, yeah, I'm glad you got the elephant out of the room there for us.
How long does it take to do? I got very lucky. I don't wear glasses. How long does it take to put that back on?
Just keep looking at that small font in the Phil Steele magazine a couple more years, bud, and then you'll get caught up with me. That means you're not looking at the Phil Steele mag enough.
I'm telling you, man. I look like Colonel Mustard. I have this.
You have the magnifying glass. I got you. Okay.
All right, Brian Edwards. You can find him on Twitter at VegasBEdwards. Brian, thank you so much for the time. Get your glasses fixed. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, K-Raj. Enjoyed it.
All right, there is Brian Edwards, and good to see him again. And look, you don't know what you got until it's gone, I guess, right, with the Atlanta Falcons, that Matt Ryan, who was there for so long, was on the doorstep of winning a Super Bowl against the Patriots. They blew it. We know about the 28-3. But I don't know I think it's great for him going to Indianapolis, like having a fresh, nice change, and the Carson Wentz thing didn't work out for the Colts. So Matt Ryan is just a better quarterback than Carson Wentz. And maybe Matt Ryan gets the Colts over the top. Who knows? And we've seen a lot of these quarterbacks now. Saw Brady going to Tampa Bay, Russell Wilson going to Denver. And again, we'll see what he does. But these quarterbacks towards the end of their career, even Peyton Manning when he went to Denver, that it's probably a good thing for them to just get, after you're in the same place for so long, maybe this is a good thing, get recharged a bit. And for the Atlanta Falcons, I don't know if Marcus Mariota is the answer. And Brian mentioned, they drafted Desmond Ridder out of Cincinnati. If he's going to get any time, if he could eventually unseat Marcus Mariota, I can't think Mariota is the runaway starter at this point. But the Falcons, they have some young guys offensively, but no Calvin Ridley. And, Kyle Pitts had a very good season last year. Now they add Drake London from USC. Not very complimentary things to say about the head coach, though. And I think that was pretty fair after what happened last year. All right, we're going to take a look at the Stanley Cup playoffs in just a moment. But before we get to the Stanley Cup playoffs, I want to tell you about SI Sportsbook. Sports Illustrated Sportsbook, sisportsbook.com. Get up to $300 in free bets in the state of Colorado only. Again, for new users only. Must be 21 years or older to play. Deposit with promo code AFF300. and you can get up to $300 in free bets. Terms and conditions apply. Again, you must be in the great state of Colorado for new users only. That is the Sports Illustrated Sportsbook. Find them online now at sisportsbook.com. All right, let's take a look at the 4 games inside the NHL tonight. Well, last night, in case you missed it, Hurricanes ended up blowing out the Bruins 5-1. That was a 2-1 game in the third, and then Carolina scored 3 to make it look a little more of a blowout. Boston's had a lot of problems with Carolina this year. 0-4 against the Hurricanes this season. And Toronto, they destroyed Tampa Bay 5-0. And Toronto, who's had a lot of problems in the first round over the years, now up 1-0 over the two-time defending Stanley Cup champions. We'll see what happens in Game 3. And then you had St. Louis, who has had a lot of success with Minnesota. They shut them out last night on the road. And the big upset was LA winning at Edmonton in the late game. Edmonton, they continue just to have a lot of problems in the playoffs. All right, so tonight, let's go to Madison Square Garden. Penguins and the Rangers. And New York had a lot of success with Pittsburgh this year. Pittsburgh's only win came 1-0 over New York. But Igor Shesterkin, the goalie for the Rangers, is going to win the Vezina, and maybe I don't know if he's going to win the Hart, but he's in the conversation for that for the top player. Rangers here laying a little over 130 at SI Sportsbook, and we'll see what Pittsburgh does. Tristan Jarry, their goalie, he's out. So the Penguins will have to see what Sidney Crosby got left in the tank, and the Pens an underdog here at home in game or on the road rather in Game 1. Panthers, a top seed in the East, they host Washington. Alex Ovechkin is back for the Capitals. That's not a surprise at all. Aaron Ekblad, he's back for the Panthers, their top defenseman. He's been out for the last few months with a leg injury. He's going to play in Game 1. Sergei Bobrovsky's going to start in net for the Panthers. And again, a lot of pressure on the Panthers. They won the President's Trophy, most points in the NHL, and they have not seen Washington since November. Somehow, scheduling quirk, they played the Capitals 3 times in November. They haven't seen them since. So we'll see what Obi's got. He's got anything left in the tank. The top seed in the West, the Colorado Avalanche, they face Nashville. And the Predators, who blew a 4-0 lead in their season finale at Arizona, means they got to draw Colorado instead of Calgary in the first round. And the Predators just beat the Avalanche in the shootout. Nashville's actually had some success with Colorado beating them a few times this year. But the Avalanche still the best team in the West. Look at that, laying over $3 tonight against the Nashville Predators. The other Western Conference game, the Pacific Division champions, the Calgary Flames, laying over $2 against Dallas. Stars are a feisty team. We saw them in the Stanley Cup a few years ago against Tampa Bay in the bubble. Say what you want about the bubble, but still Tyler Seguin. A lot of good young players on Dallas. Calgary, they have a lot of firepower. They pretty much led the Pacific for the last few months after they took control. Pacific was like a merry-go-round for a little bit early in the season. Calgary took over, and they have rode it out as the champions of that division. But Calgary and Colorado, heavy favorites. You have 3 $2+ favorites tonight. Panthers, Avalanche, and the Flames. So you got the 4-game ones inside of the NHL this evening. Now, Major League Baseball, we're not going to go through every matchup because there's a ton of them, but at least we'll hit on the highlights. And Braves and Mets, they play a doubleheader today. The Braves bounce back after they lost 2 at Texas this past weekend. They beat the Mets last night 5-2 at Citi Field. Charlie Morton starts in the opener against Carlos Carrasco. Morton has struggled this season. You wonder if Morton can bounce back here as a dog. And then Kyle Wright and David Peterson in the second game at Citi Field. Braves are favored in that one. Mets favored in the opener. Rays favored in Game 2. Cincinnati is a huge underdog. Again, they're 3-19. They go to Milwaukee to face Brandon Woodruff and the Brewers. Not a lot to say about the Reds. They've just been awful, to say the least. By far the worst team in baseball right now. Milwaukee trying to bounce back. They were shut out by the Cubs back on Sunday. This game is interesting. Washington and Colorado, and the Rockies off of the sweep of the Reds. Washington won 2 of 3 at San Francisco. They're still 8-16, but German Marquez had 2 bad starts against Washington last year, so keep an eye on that. And Marquez is favored at home. Giants, Dodgers, they had that epic series last year, the 5-gamer that LA ended up winning to knock San Francisco out. And Carlos Rodon, he is on the mound tonight against the Dodgers, so he's making that start for the Giants. And Julio Urias, he goes for LA, and the Dodgers favored at home. You don't see the Giants that much as an underdog, but we'll see what Rodon has. Battle lefties there in LA. The key matchup in the American League tonight, Yankees and Blue Jays in Toronto. Yankees have won 10 straight. They're 17-6, and they ended up edging Toronto last night 3-2. Jameson Taillon, he goes for New York. Alek Manoah starts for Toronto Blue Jays, a short favorite. Blue Jays been up and down of late, and we'll see what they do here. Still 15-9. And in interleague, Mike Clevenger, he is back after the Tommy John surgery for the Padres. First start in Cleveland against his old team. Well, not the Indians, but the Guardians. And Clevenger, he's about a 130 favorite against Zach Plesac. Plesac trying to rebound. He was roughed up his last start against the Angels. San Diego at 15-8. They continue to play well. The Guardians, after they swept the A's, now 10-12. And you have the battle. You have a couple of regional battles, White Sox and Cubs at Wrigley Field. White Sox favored there. Both teams at 9-13. White Sox coming off the win over the Angels, while the Cardinals go to Kansas City to face the Royals. They played in St. Louis yesterday, a makeup game. Paul Goldschmidt solo homer in the first. That was it. Cardinals won 1-0. Kansas City leaves a bunch of runners on base. But now they go west on I-70 to Kansas City tonight. And the Cardinals with Dakota Hudson, they are a slight favorite against Brad Keller. Keller, 2 starts against St. Louis. Royals lost both of them last year. He's pitched better this season, but Cardinals still a slight favorite there, looking for their 14th win. Kansas City at 7-14 so far in the season. So those are the highlights for Major League Baseball this evening. Coming up tomorrow on the show, Vince Akins will join us once again. He's got a lot of NBA trends for the Wednesday action. Now, kind of an interesting scheduling quirk here. Thursday, there are no games in the NBA. So you have Heat 76ers tomorrow, Mavs Suns tomorrow, nothing Thursday. Then Miami goes to Philadelphia Friday. We'll see if Joel Embiid comes back or not. Phoenix goes to Dallas Friday. Celtics, Bucks, Grizzlies, Warriors, they get an extra few days off. They'll resume on Saturday. So that's how the schedules turn out. So Thursday is going to be a dark day in the NBA, as they would say, like on Broadway. Dark day, no games. So they'll resume back on Friday. We have games tonight and see if the home teams bounce back, Celtics and Grizzlies. And it should be interesting here in these series now moving forward. And, of course, Stanley Cup playoffs as well. Mike, thanks to Brian Edwards for joining us today on the show. And coming down the stretch here in the NBA, and at least, in years past, hockey would start first before the NBA playoffs. Now the NBA playoffs have a one-round advantage, or at least head start, I should say, over hockey. But look, the hockey, ESPN has aired all the games and feels a little more important. We said it with Dave Sharapan yesterday. No disrespect to NBC Sports Network, which, again, doesn't exist anymore. It's now defunct. But the games on ESPN and ESPN2 seem a little more big time now because you know where to find them as opposed to looking where NBC Sports Network is. I don't even know where it is. So that's that. And we'll be with you again tomorrow at noon Eastern for another edition of the Daily Insider. And also we'd appreciate it if you like and subscribe to our videos as well. And our live streams on our Vegas Insider channel. Just click the like button. Also subscribe to the videos. We would greatly appreciate it. I am Kevin Rogers. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll talk to you tomorrow at noon. And as always, best of luck with your bets.